Guys, it's Tina and I am back with a swatch and review video for the Makeup Forever 15 Artist Shadow Palette that is new for the holidays, and it is available now for you to pick up. And I'm just going to go into the swatches now so you can take a look, and then we'll go ahead and continue with the review. So let's go ahead and take a look at the overall palette. Again, there are 15 shades arranged in 3 rows of 5. In the first row, we have the shade I-550 Olive Gray, followed by I-524 Pink Beige. Then the next shade is I-916 Frosted Mauve, followed by D-236, which is Lagoon Blue, followed by S-102, which is Onyx. Then in the second row, we have S-522 Pinky Nude, D-826 Fig, D-830 Black Rose, S-228, which is Petrol Blue, and S-114, which is Pearl Gray. In the third row, we have the shade I-528 Pearl, followed by I-662 Amber Brown. Then we have I-922, which is Electric Purple, and this one is the blush shade. Then we have ME216, which is Electric Blue, followed by ME122, which is the shade Snow. So they have broken this palette up by looks. So there are 5 looks in the palette and 3 eyeshadows each. So that's how I'm going to swatch them, which is each column. So it's 3 eyeshadows in each column. The first shadow up is I-550, which is Olive Gray. This guy is a shimmery taupey shade. It's really smooth, has great pigmentation. This is actually a really good color to use for everyday neutral looks. Then we have the shade S-522, which is Pinky Nude. And this is a satin finish eyeshadow. It is a subtle beige color with a very slight sheen. It is perfect for brightening up the inner tear duct. I love using this because it brings a brightness to the inner tear duct, but without being overwhelming on darker skin. Then we have the shade I-528, which is Pearl. And this is an iridescent pearly shade. It's a beautiful shade. It has great pigmentation in one swipe. So here are those 3 shades in look number 1, Nude. Next we have the shade I-524, which is Pink Beige. And this one is a peachy beige shade. Again, really beautiful for everyday neutral looks, and it has great pigmentation. Then we have the shade D-826, which is Fig. And this one is a diamond shade, so it does have shimmer throughout it. It is like a muted cranberry brown shade with gold and pink sparkle. Really beautiful shade, but watch out for the fallout with this one because again, it does have shimmer in it. And then next we have the shade I-662, which is Amber Brown, which is one of my favorite from the lineup. This one is a golden bronze shade. It is so beautiful. It's smooth, it's pigmented, and it's a very subtle bronze shade, so it's great for everyday looks and it doesn't look too overwhelming on darker skin. So here are those 3 shades in look number 2, Bronze. The next look is Orchid Aura, and the first shade we have is I-916, which is Frosted Mauve. And this one is a very pale lavender shade. It has more of a satin finish. It is very beautiful, has great pigmentation for such a light shade. It actually has kind of a glowy effect to it, so it would be great for an inner tear duct highlight. Then we have the shade D-830, which is Black Rose, which is one of my favorite smoky shades. It has a blackened base with purple and golden shimmer. It's a really great shade. It makes a great smoky eye, and it is really sultry because of that purple. Next up we have the shade I-922, which was meant to replace number 92, and no, you can't. You absolutely cannot, but it's a beautiful purple shade, great pigmentation, especially if you're purple, which is kind of tricky when it comes to pigmentation. This guy would make a beautiful smoky purple eye as well. And here are those 3 shades in look number 3, which is Orchid Aura. So here are those 3 first column swatch. We have look number 1, which is Nude, look number 2, which is Bronze, and look number 3, which is Orchid Aura. And any of these shades would work together as well. So you can definitely mix and match, but I wanted to show you them by how they line them up by look. Moving on to look number 4, Mosaic Blue, we have D2 36, which is Lagoon Blue, which is one of my favorite colors. It is a shimmery, sparkly teal blue shade. It reminds me of a mermaid blue. It is really a gorgeous color. Then we have S228, which is petrol blue, which wasn't one of my favorite shades necessarily, but it's a nice kind of satin teal blue shade. It's a deep teal blue. It's actually really gorgeous, has good pigmentation. It just wasn't one of my favorites, but now I'm looking at it and I'm like, well, maybe I'll think about it. Then we have the shade ME216, which is electric blue. And I mean, do I need to say anything else? Look at that color. It's beyond gorgeous, right? Can you stand it? So here are those three shades in look number 4, Mosaic Blue, and they're all beautiful shades, great pigmentation. They're all beautiful shades that would look great in a tealish blue look. Oh my god, so gorgeous. Moving on to look number 5, Smoky. This is where we have those smoky shades, and the first color up is S102 Onyx, which is actually one of my favorite, if not my favorite, black shade of all time. I love this for a smoky eye because it's satin, so it's not a flat matte black that can come off choppy or chalky. It's a satin matte, blends nicely. You can actually use this all over for a smoky eye and you would kill it. I should do a smoky eye with that, right? Next we have the shade S114, which is pearl gray. And this is, like it says, just a pearl gray shade. It's a nice satin finish as well. So it doesn't come off too shiny like a silver can, and it's not too flat like a matte. It's a nice satin shade, gives a great look to the eye. I actually really like this shade as well. And then last up in that look is ME122, which is the shade Snow. This one is just a iridescent white shade with blue sheen to it. This shade is a beautiful shade. It gives a nice icy glow to the skin. You can use it as an inner tear duct highlight, especially for darker skin. I wouldn't suggest using this for anything but an inner tear duct highlight, except if you want to use it over a black base or a dark colored smoky base. It will give this reflective iridescent look to the eyeshadow. So here we have those three colors in that look number 5, Smoky. So here are the 6 shades in the last 2 looks, Mosaic Blue and Smoky. And these again are your blue shades, your teal shades. The Lagoon Blue would actually make a really great like emerald teal smoky eye. And then you have the smoky shades, the black, which I absolutely love. It's my favorite black, hands down. That beautiful blue. You just have really beautiful shades here for, you know, different types of looks. So here we have all 15 shades swatched, from neutrals to smoky shades and the bright pops of color. So you'll see all the 15 shades side by side. So now that you've seen the swatches of the eyeshadows, let's go ahead and jump into the review. And the first thing I like to talk about is the price. And this palette retails for $59, and you get 14 eyeshadows and 1 blush shade, even though technically everybody's going to use them as eyeshadows, but for FDA purposes, and so Makeup Forever doesn't get sued, they have to declare that one of the eyeshadows is meant to be used as a blush. And that, of course, is the purple shade number I922 in the palette. But of course, we're all going to use that as eyeshadow, right? So just be mindful of that. That's meant to be a blush. So you can have some irritation to the red dye in this, and it can leave some staining on your skin. So just be aware of that. As I said, each of these are 0.06 ounces, and a full-size Makeup Forever eyeshadow, the typical pans, these are 0.07 ounces. So you're getting slightly less than a full-size pan, but you're getting a lot of eyeshadow because a typical small eyeshadow on the market is 0.05 ounces. So you're getting more than an average eyeshadow and a little bit less than a large size Makeup Forever eyeshadow, which makes the value of this $221 if you're going by the ounces. And I think that's a great value for this palette. If you were thinking about picking up the eyeshadows, you're gonna buy each of them for $21, or you can get 3 in a trio for $43. So you're getting a lot of product here. You're getting a lot of shades to try out at a very reasonable price. So let's go ahead now and take a look at the packaging, which I think is beautifully done. It is in the theme of the season It is an orange and black cardboard palette, a hard cardboard palette that is held together by a magnet. And the magnet was pretty strong, and I was surprised because I was like, open! And it actually holds the palette quite secure. But in case you know, just be mindful of traveling around with this. Just make sure it's in a secure place where it can't just flop open, but it's really hard to just flop open. The fun part of the packaging is the front, which has a bright orange background with golden glitter on it, but it's not glitter that comes off. It actually has an overcoat that keeps the glitter secure, and it has the Makeup Forever logo with the lip with a brush inside. I just think it's really cute, and it matches up with the actual box that it comes in. Inside the lid you have a 3/4 size mirror. It's not a full-size mirror, and it does flop over, so it doesn't have a hinge that holds it up, so you'd have to hold it if you wanted to truly use the mirror. Personally, I don't have a problem using my regular mirror because I don't use the mirror in palettes, but a lot of people do like using their mirrors in their palettes, so just be mindful of that. It comes with a little protective sheet that I can throw out. And then the 15 eyeshadows are laid out in 3 rows of 5. So you have 5 columns that are arranged by looks, and we'll get into that in a little bit. At the back of the palette you have the eyeshadow numbers. So they aren't on the inside of the palette, they're on the back, and they line up to the eyeshadows inside. So you can just line them up. Just be mindful though that the eyeshadow numbers match up in reverse. So when you flip the palette open, you might see the ME122 shade and think it lines up to this one. No, it doesn't. It lines up to this one. So just keep that in mind when you're trying to figure out which color is which. This is really nice, structured, heavy-duty cardboard packaging, and I think it's fun for the holidays. It's a really beautiful design, and I think it's really sleek and just luxurious looking, so definitely a plus for me with the packaging. Also inside the box is a little step-by-step guide that shows you how to use the eyeshadows or examples of looks that you can use this for. And it also has a little spiel about the palette, the eyeshadows, and the founder. And the eyeshadows are arranged, as I said before, in 3 rows of 5. But each of the 5 columns are a different look. So you have look 1, look 2, look 3, look 4, and look 5. And then throughout the booklet, it shows you how to do these looks. So it has step-by-step guide for look 1, and it tells you what eyeshadow to apply where with what brush. And you don't have to use these exact brushes, of course. You can use similar brushes. They show you the brushes. So just use similar brushes to what you have. And it shows you examples of looks that you can do. So I found this actually really helpful. And it's really beautiful too. The looks that they have in here are really helpful and beautiful. So you have 5 looks to choose from. Overall, I just think the packaging is bomb as hell, and that little book is actually very helpful. As far as application and performance for these eyeshadows go, it's the same as with the regular Makeup Forever eyeshadows. They didn't change anything about the formula for these. They all work really well, and I love them. They're really pigmented, they're smooth, they're easy to apply. The only thing is, and the only complaint I have about the formula is that sometimes they can get a little bit clumpy, the eyeshadow. So when you pick them up, you'll get little chunks, and you can just easily blend those out. It's not a big deal for me, but some people might have an issue with that. But just be mindful, the formula does have a little trick to it because it has a lot of silicone in it and dimethicone, so it does tend to stick to it itself, but that makes it really good for applying to the lids because it's going to give you superior pigmentation and great blendability and just great color payoff. I really love these eyeshadows, and I think that you get a good range of eyeshadows for neutral looks and then more colorful, bright looks. I think it's a good selection of eyeshadows. Even if you aren't into bright colors or even if you aren't into neutral colors, I think you can appreciate and enjoy the color selection here. You have pops of color, and if you're tame, just use it on the lower lash line or use it very lightly on the outer lid area. Just add a pop of color to your look, and then you have these neutral shades that you can use for neutral looks and darkening up the look. The only thing is there are no matte eyeshadows in this, which I don't think is a major problem for me, but other people might have an issue with that. There are no mattes, so you're gonna need to pull your mattes from your lineup if you have matte blending shades or matte neutral shades that you want to incorporate. Definitely keep that in mind. But they do have satin shades that almost perform like mattes because they don't give you an ultra sharp shine or frost on your lids. They actually have a very subtle sheen. It makes them more blendable, but they're not high frost shine, so you can still use these in a look without it being overwhelming. You can use just this palette. Even the neutral looks, you just use that palette and you don't have an issue even if you don't have any mattes, if that makes sense to you, because the satins kind of give you a similar effect with great blendability without high shine. Overall, I think this eyeshadow palette would be my #1 pick for eyeshadow palettes this season, just because I kind of have a little thing going on with Makeup Forever Artist eyeshadows. I love them so much. I have almost all of them. I'm just missing a few shades that I might go ahead and collect next year. I don't know, we'll see what happens. But I love these eyeshadows, and I have all these eyeshadows already in full size, and I am so happy that Makeup Forever decided to send this to me. Thank you so much to the PR team in New York. I really appreciate it. A lot of people were asking me if I was gonna pick this up, and my answer was no, because I have the full-sized eyeshadows already. I have all these shades in full size. But for somebody that's trying to build up their collection of Makeup Forever Artist shadows, this is such a great palette to pick up. And there are 2 other palettes available. They have a neutral palette and a dark smoky palette. Again, I have all those shades, so I'm not gonna pick those up, but those are good palettes also to pick up. I just think this one is great because it has 14 eyeshadows and it has some of my favorite shades in here. So I definitely highly recommend this. I recommend picking it up. You're paying a little bit over the price of, say, 4 of the eyeshadows, full-size eyeshadows, for 15 of them. So I think value for money, this is top notch. I think it's a definite go. And of course, I'll leave links to where you can pick this up. It's available at Sephora, and with the VIB sale happening and the BI sale happening at Sephora very soon, you can get it for 20% off. So grab it before it sells out, because it's limited edition and it's just available for the holidays. But this one is definitely worth checking out. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will leave a link actually to my artist eyeshadow swatch video where I swatch all the ones that I have in my collection. I swatch. You will see how beautiful these are. You just check it out. I'll link it below. I'll leave links to my Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook page as well. And don't mind this kind of sunshine through the blinds look that I'm doing right now. Don't pay attention to that. I'm trying to film this before I run off to work. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video and found it helpful. Definite thumbs up for me. And if you aren't already subscribed, go ahead and hit the subscribe button right here waiting for ya. Yeah. And until my next video, which will be very soon, I'll talk to you guys. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.